The lobby of Willow Crest Estate shimmered under slanted March sunlight, stained glass throwing jagged shadows across the marble floor. I stood in the office doorway, unnoticed, as Cynthia swept in, handbag swinging like a gavel, heels clicking with the precision of a metronome. She was a vision of country club wrath, blonde hair coiffed to defy gravity, lips painted a shade that screamed boardroom, not sabotage. "I'm here to cancel Ever-Ray's wedding," she announced to Ethan at the desk, her voice dripping with rehearsed concern. "She's unstable, a danger to herself and others. I insist you comply, or I'll call the police." Ethan, bless him, didn't flinch. He adjusted his glasses, voice smooth as the polished counter. "Mrs. Lawson, there's a problem. We can't cancel Miss Ray's event." Cynthia's eyes narrowed, sensing resistance. "And why not?" she snapped, reaching for her bag, probably some forged document to seal her lie. Ethan leaned forward, pausing just long enough to let her stew. "Because," he said, "this is Miss Ray's property." The silence was glorious. Cynthia's face froze, a Picasso of smugness cracking into disbelief, then horror. Her knuckles whitened on the counter, and I swear I heard her perfect world creak. That's when I stepped out, cool as the spring breeze rustling the roses outside. "Surprised, Cynthia?" I asked, my smile a blade honed over 19 years. Karma's a theater, and I'd snagged the best seat. 3 days before my wedding, March 16th, 2025, I watched Cynthia Lawson, stepmother extraordinaire, realize she'd miscalculated. Badly. She thought she'd corner me, paint me as the unhinged girl she'd always claimed I was. Instead, she'd walked into my trap, and the curtain was rising. Her eyes darted, searching for an exit, but I wasn't done. "We need to talk," I said, calm as the estate's restored walls, steady as the ground she'd just lost. She swayed, her empire of lies teetering, and I savored every second. The audience, me, Ethan, the ghosts of Willow Crest, was hooked. The show was just beginning. I'm Ever-Ray, 29, the girl who turned a grandmother's fortune into a quiet empire, all while living in a downtown loft that screams thrift over trust fund. Most days, I manage properties, Willow Crest included, with a focus that keeps the past at bay. But the past? It's a stubborn shadow, and it started with Mom. She died when I was 8, breast cancer stealing her in slow, cruel bites. Margaret Ray was wild roses and warm laughs, the kind of woman who'd teach you strength isn't loud, it's true. 2 years later, Dad married Cynthia Lawson, and my world tilted. She swept in at 10, a hurricane in heels, all designer scarves and country club manners. Our home, once messy with love, got a makeover. Beige walls, crystal vases, a chill that wasn't just the air conditioning. "Ever, honey," she'd say, lips pursed like she'd tasted something sour. "No one will take you seriously like this." This could be my jeans, my curls, my dream of real estate over her precious law degree. Nothing was good enough, especially me. Dad, Michael, didn't fight it. He'd retreat to his study, leaving me to dodge her barbs alone. I was the stain she couldn't bleach, the kid who wouldn't bend. Then came Harper, born when I was 10, Cynthia's golden girl. Perfectly poised, utterly obedient, she was everything I wasn't, at least in Cynthia's eyes. Where I pushed for freedom, Harper followed the script. Ballet lessons, debutante balls, an engagement to some polo-playing heir from Cynthia's circle. I kept my distance, limiting family time to holidays and the occasional dinner, my inheritance a secret tucked behind a simple life. Grandma's will left me millions in real estate, but I didn't flaunt it. I built my own success, brick by brick, while Cynthia whispered I was troublesome, reckless, a problem she'd fix someday. She never saw me coming. Willow Crest, that historic beauty with a 3-year waiting list, was my ace. I bought it 2 years ago, restored its Victorian bones with my own hands and Grandma's money, the cash Cynthia swore I'd squander. She didn't know. No one did. Not until I needed it to. 19 years of her digs. Ever, you'll never amount to much. Sharpened my claws, but I hid them well. She remade our lives, sure, but I was rewriting mine. Dad hid, Harper followed, and I waited. Patient as the roses Mom loved, wild and free outside Cynthia's control. The battlefield was set, and I'd been playing chess while she played dress-up. Sunday dinner at Dad's house was a minefield, crystal glasses clinking like warning bells. Cynthia sat at the head, picking at her kale salad, when I dropped the bomb. Lucas and I are getting married this Saturday, I said, casual as if I'd mentioned the weather. At Willow Crest Estate. Lucas, my fiancé, a software genius who'd built his own company, squeezed my hand under the table. Cynthia's fork hit her plate with a clatter, a rare crack in her polish. That's impossible, she said, eyes bulging like overripe grapes. I tried to book Willow Crest for Harper's wedding. It's solid for 3 years. I smirked, sipping my water. Luck's a funny thing. Her face twisted. Disbelief, then fury. She didn't know I owned it, didn't suspect the quiet girl she'd dismissed had outmaneuvered her. A small wedding's best, she'd said earlier, not looking up. Nothing to overshadow Harper's big day. Too late. I'd lit the match and she was already smoking. The campaign started fast. Monday, my phone buzzed with texts. Ever, we need to discuss this. Tuesday, she cornered me in my office parking lot, Chanel suit pristine, voice syrupy with venom. You're stealing Harper's thunder, as usual. She's dreamed of Willow Crest forever. A lie. Harper hadn't cared until Cynthia planted the seed last year. Half-sister, I corrected, sharp and instant, regretting it as her eyes hardened. This is why, she hissed. You've never accepted Harper as family. Always so selfish. I walked away, but her words clung, old wounds bleeding fresh. She'd found my soft spot, pressed hard. By Wednesday, she escalated, vintage Cynthia. Calls to Lucas's mom, hints I was unstable, pleas to protect Harper's moment. I'd planned my wedding for months, elegant, intimate, mine, and she couldn't stand it. Her desperation was almost funny, a queen losing her crown one petty jab at a time. I'd booked Willow Crest, my secret victory, and she was choking on it. Lucas grinned across the table that night, unfazed. She's unraveling, he said. I nodded, savoring the chaos. The fuse was burning, and I'd make sure it blew in her face. The week before the wedding, Cynthia's game went from subtle to sloppy, and I was ready. It started with the vendors, my florist called Wednesday night, voice tight. Someone claiming to be your planner canceled the roses, Miss Ray. Then the caterer, then the string quartet, all reporting the same fake voice trying to unravel my plans. I'd seen this coming, though. Months ago, I'd warned everyone. Changes only with my written okay. The orders held, but Cynthia's fingerprints were everywhere, smudging her perfect manicure. She thought she'd catch me off guard, but I'd been waiting for her to swing wild. Thursday brought gifts to my loft, anonymously sent, of course, but reeking of her. Wedding planning books stacked up, their pastel covers mocking me, followed by self-help guides on anger management, then pamphlets for therapists specializing in unstable behavior. I laughed, dark and low, stacking them on my coffee table like a trophy pile. She was building a paper trail, laying bricks for some twisted narrative. Ever Ray, the unhinged stepdaughter, unfit for marriage. Lucas found me flipping through one, his brow arched. She's desperate, he said. I nodded, snapping a photo of the hall. And sloppy. That's her mistake. Friday morning, Ethan called from Willow Crest, his tone clipped. She's on her way, Miss Ray. Called an hour ago, claiming you're a danger to yourself, threatening cops if we don't cancel. I closed my eyes, counting to 5, the pieces clicking into place. Let me guess, I said. She's coming to sign papers in person? Ethan confirmed it, adding, she's determined. sounded unhinged herself. I smirked, a plan hardening. Good. Let her come, Ethan. I'll be there. I'd been collecting evidence for years. 19 years of Cynthia's venom, preserved like a grudge ledger. Screenshots of her texts, recordings from old family dinners where she'd hissed I'd never amount to much. Emails to Harper's teachers suggesting I was a bad influence. The latest haul was gold. Voicemails to vendors, caught by my callback checks. Her voice syrupy with fake concern. Ever's not well, you see. It's for her own good. I transferred it all to my phone, a digital dagger, and drove to Willow Crest. The estate glowed in the afternoon light, its restored Victorian arches a testament to my quiet defiance. Parking out of sight, I slipped inside, ready to spring the trap. Cynthia thought I'd flinch, crumble under her lies. She didn't know I'd built a cage, and she was waltzing in, heels first. I stood behind the office door, watching the security feed as her silver Lexus pulled up, sleek and smug. She emerged, dressed for a board meeting, navy blazer, pearls, like she wasn't here to torch my life. My pulse thrummed, not with fear, but anticipation. She'd overplayed her hand, and I was about to call her bluff. The lobby waited, silent, as Ethan prepped his lines. 19 years of patience tightened into this moment, and I was steady as the stone beneath my feet. Cynthia strode into the Willow Crest lobby, heels echoing like gunfire on the marble, her handbag slamming onto the counter with a thud. "I'm Cynthia Lawson," she declared, voice sharp enough to cut glass. "I called about canceling Everray's wedding. She's not fit to marry, and I have proof." She reached for her bag, fishing for whatever forged nonsense she'd concocted. But Ethan didn't blink. He leaned forward, glasses glinting, and delivered the line we'd rehearsed. "Mrs. Lawson, there's an issue. We can't cancel Miss Ray's event." Cynthia's lips tightened, a predator sensing prey slipping away. "Why not?" she snapped. "Because," Ethan said, pausing just long enough to twist the knife, "this is her estate." The air stilled, absolute and electric. Cynthia's face collapsed, confusion, disbelief, then dawning horror washing over her like a tide. Her hand froze mid-reach, knuckles white, and I stepped out from the office, calm as the roses blooming outside. "Surprised, Cynthia?" I asked, my voice steady, a blade honed by years of her barbs. She swayed, clutching the counter, her empire of lies teetering on those ridiculous heels. "Ever!" she rasped, scrambling for footing. "This is impossible!" I tilted my head, savoring the crack in her facade. "Is it? I own Willow Crest, Cynthia. Bought it 2 years ago, restored it with Grandma's money, the cash you said I was too reckless to handle." Her eyes widened, a deer in headlights, and I pressed on, 19 years of suppressed fire spilling out. "You wanted it for Harper, didn't you? Too bad I got there first." She straightened, clawing for control. "I have documentation," she said, weaker now, fumbling with her bag again. "Your behavior—" I cut her off, pulling my phone from my pocket. "You mean this?" I tapped play, and her voice filled the lobby, venom dripping from a recording, last week at the club. "Ever's unstable, jealous of Harper. I'm worried she'll ruin everything." Her face drained of color, recognizing the trap. Mrs. Carter, Harper's future mother-in-law, had taped it, disgusted, and sent it to me. "Or these," I continued, swiping to screenshots, texts to vendors, emails calling me unhinged. "I learned from you, Cynthia. Document everything, right?" She faltered, grasping at straws. "I was protecting the family image." Her voice cracked, authority bleeding out. I laughed, sharp and humorless. "My behavior? Let's talk yours. 19 years erasing Mom, turning Dad against me, molding Harper into your puppet." She protested. "That's not true." But it rang hollow, even to her. I hit play again. More clips. subtle digs, whispered lies, a litany of control. "I've got more," I said, nodding to Ethan, who slid a thick folder across the counter. "Every call, every threat, including today's police bluff." Her spine stiffened, a last gasp. "What do you want? Money?" I stepped closer, voice low, cracking with old pain. "I want you to stop, to see you can't control me anymore. And if you try again, this all goes public. How's that for your image?" Uncertainty flickered in her eyes, but she spat. "Michael will see who you are." As if on cue, the lobby doors swung open, and Dad walked in, shoulder slumped, older than I'd ever seen him. "Cynthia," he said, quiet, heavy. "I got a call from Mrs. Carter. I've heard enough." She spun, composure shattering completely. "Michael, you can't—" He raised a hand, cutting her off. "Don't. Just don't." He turned to me, eyes wet with regret. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I should have seen it sooner. Your mom would be so proud. This place. You." My throat tightened, tears pricking, and I nodded, unable to speak. "If you'll let me," he added, "I'd like to walk you down the aisle Saturday." I managed a shaky, "Yes." Cynthia's face hardened, but the fight was gone. "Michael, you're blind," she hissed, then fled, heels clicking a frantic retreat. Through the windows, her Lexus peeled out, leaving burnt rubber and silence. Her empire burned, and Dad's regret was the ash. I'd won, checkmate, but God, it hurt to watch. Ethan slipped away, giving us space, and Dad hugged me, a weight lifting. The trap had sprung, the reckoning complete, and Willow Crest stood witness, solid as my reclaimed truth. Saturday arrived, March 19th, 2025, and Willow Crest's ballroom glowed with candlelight, a warm hum of love filling the air. The confrontation with Cynthia was 3 days past, her absence a silent victory carved into the empty seat in the front row. I stood at the back, veil brushing my shoulders, Dad's arm steady under mine. He'd barely spoken since the lobby, his apology still echoing in my chest, but his grip said enough. Lucas waited ahead, his grin cutting through the nerves. A software nerd turned prince in a tailored suit. The quartet played, strings weaving Mom's favorite melody, and we stepped forward. The aisle stretched like a bridge, each step shedding 19 years of weight. Guests smiled. Friends, Lucas's family, a few cousins who'd dodged Cynthia's web, but Harper's presence hit hardest. She'd slipped in late, no fiancé in tow, her hug before the ceremony a whispered shock. "I'm sorry. Ever," she'd said, eyes red, the first crack in her puppet strings. I'd squeezed her back, too full to reply, and now she watched, a half-sister finding her footing. Dad's breath hitched as we passed Cynthia's chair, his regret a quiet ache. But he straightened, guiding me to Lucas with a nod that felt like absolution. The vows were simple, ours. Lucas promising to debug my chaos, me vowing to anchor his dreams. Laughter rippled, then silence as we kissed, the room fading until it was just us. The reception blurred, dancing, toasts, cake. But later, I slipped away, climbing to the rooftop terrace, my favorite perch. The city sparkled below, stars piercing the dusk, and I breathed deep, the first free air in decades. Cynthia's chains, her digs, her lies, dissolved under that sky, and I felt Mom's wild roses in my bones, untamed at last. Lucas found me, his arms sliding around my waist, warm and sure. "Everything okay?" he murmured, chin on my shoulder. I leaned back, the estate's silhouette framing us, its restored arches a testament to my fight. "Yeah," I said, voice soft, steady. "For the first time in 19 years, it really is." He didn't push, just held me, and we watched the night unfold. Harper mingling below, Dad laughing with Lucas's dad, a family remade without her shadow. The triumph wasn't loud, no trumpets or cheers, but Quiet, deep, a wound, stitched, closed. Willow Crest held us close, its walls whispering peace, and Cynthia's absence was a gift heavier than her presence ever was. Months later, Willow Crest stood stronger, its halls a gallery of other couples' perfect days, but its soul was mine. Dad moved out 2 weeks after the wedding, his bags packed in silence while Cynthia raged. Their divorce finalized by September, a clean cut. She got her settlement, a chunk of cash to polish her fading crown, but lost what she'd prized most: control. Harper drifted free too, marrying next spring on a windswept beach, no country club in sight. She'd picked the spot herself, texting me a photo of her barefoot in the sand, captioned, "My choice." I smiled, replying, "Good for you," and meant it. She was learning her voice, step by shaky step. I still ran the estate, late nights tracing its restored corridors, fingers brushing wood I'd sanded, walls I'd painted. Cynthia drove by sometimes, her Lexus slowing as she stared, then speeding off. Word from the club was she'd spun a tale, claimed she'd let me have Willow Crest, her idea all along. I didn't care. We both knew the truth, etched in every brick, every call she'd made to sabotage me. That was enough. But the estate grew beyond her shadow. A new piece added in June, a garden plaque beside a rose bush, wild and free like Mom's. It read, "For Margaret Ray, who taught strength in truth." And I'd touch it, feeling her in the thorns, the blooms. One afternoon, a young bride toured the grounds, her eyes bright but tired. "My mother-in-law's a nightmare," she confessed as we walked, her voice low. "Wants to pick everything, dress, flowers, even the vows." I paused by the roses, the plaque glinting in the sun, and saw myself in her, 19 years of fighting reflected back. "I get it," I said, tone warm, steady. "Took me decades to learn this, but the best win isn't the battle. It's choosing what's worth fighting for, and sometimes just living well on your terms." She nodded, a spark flickering in her gaze, recognition hardening into resolve. When she left, she stood taller, steps firmer, and I watched, knowing Willow Crest had worked its magic again. That's what it became. Not just a venue, but a crucible. Cynthia's lies had crumbled here, her empire stripped bare, and in its place rose something real. I'd stood up to her, not with screams or fists, but proof, patience, a truth she couldn't twist. Dad visited sometimes, quieter now, rebuilding what he'd let slip. Harper called too, her questions tentative, about Mom, about me, bridges forming where walls once stood. The estate held those moments, its stones soaking up cycles, broken, families mended, strength found. Cynthia's shadow lingered, a ghost in her own story, but it didn't touch me anymore. I'd heard her at the club once, post-divorce, boasting over martinis about her sacrifice. Let her spin it, I thought, walking Willow Crest's paths at dusk, the city a soft glow below. The truth didn't need her stage, it lived here, in the roses, the plaque, the bride who'd left with fire in her step. Mom's words rang clearer now, her voice in the wind. Strength isn't control, it's authenticity, raw and unscripted. Willow Crest wasn't just mine, it was where masks fell, where people rose. That bride got it, and others would too, their stories echoing mine in smaller ways. Cynthia never understood, never would. True class doesn't clutch a narrative, it lets it go, free as the roses climbing the trellis. I'd fought for this place, for myself, and won something bigger. A legacy of truth, quiet, wild, blooming under the stars. She could drive by all she liked. Her cage was empty, and I was done looking back.